Hello there, flight swimmers. Let me introduce myself. My name is Paul. I'm a developer, producer, skydiver, musician, and a few other hats based in Tokyo. As you can see, I'm a little plane crazy, which segues into the topic of this video. This is my video explainer about my new Microsoft Flight Simulator utility called Aircraft Manager. Aircraft Manager is a UI utility to help manage information overload from your growing aircraft collection, and I'm starting to acquire one, and I scratched a few itches and came up with a solution. Let's dive in. So the current plane management and aircraft section is great, but it's got limited custom functionality, which you come across as you start to acquire a bigger collection. So it's got great search functionality, and it's got a nice filtering system based on these preset categories, but it can start to get overwhelming when you're deciding what to fly. Other issues are like I'd like to compare aircraft within the same category or across categories. I'd like to tag my favorite aircraft or tag all STOL aircraft, for example, of a particular style that I fly, and be able to quickly pull them up. And maybe I'd like to keep notes on some aircraft. My solution, which I've come up with, is called Aircraft Manager, which will help you do all that and more. And this is a short, I'll run through the features and benefits of it here to act as a bit of an intro and also a help guide for when you want to use it. So first off, we've retained the existing search functionality. It links into that. So for example, if we search on 339, it'll pull up those here, and exactly the same as we get in our normal aircraft selection screen. We can clear that and it'll pull them back up. Same, and aircraft are selected. If we pull these up, it'll pull up all the turboprops, same as we get in here, just like that. And ditto for any other categories, rotorcraft. So what are the advantages of doing it in Aircraft Manager? Well, it retains the same functionality. So if we click on the image, it'll select the aircraft. So we're not losing any of our existing functionality. And we can see here it changes the launch method when you select a glider. So we're retaining the existing functionality of search, selection, and filtering here, but we're adding to it a lot more. Let's go from left to right, looking at what we have. So we have combined, just like in here, we have the aircraft manufacturer plus the name. We can sort these columns, ascending or descending order or default order. And we have the categories here, which are the same as these categories here. We have the speed. We're basically pulling out the same information as we have here. And gliders are slightly different from all the other types of aircraft. They have wingspan, speed, glide ratio, sync, whereas all the others have speed, altitude, endurance, and range. So we have those speed, but we can sort on all these. So for starters, we now have sort functionality, being able to go ascending or descending for all those. Same for altitude and time and range. Tags and notes we'll get into shortly. Apart from single sort functionality, we also have multi-column sort functionality. So if you hold Shift and then click on these, we're now sorted within the category, but we can also, I want to sort within. You can see here that the aircraft speeds are all over the place, but I want to sort speed within each of those within each of those categories. So we're now sorted in ascending order within the airliner, ascending order within the glider, ascending order within the jets, etc. And you keep holding down Shift and re-click on that column, you'll get descending order within that. And you can also keep going if you want. If aircraft have the same speed, this is your primary, this is your secondary category, and then your third sort category is whatever that is, and then time, for example, within that. Well, it's not inserting, we're going up to 3. Okay. And then if you want to get rid of that, you just click on another column and resets. So sorting, single sort and multi-sort is first edition. Second edition is we have filtering. So similar to how we can filter here on gliders and then reset, we could do the same here with this category, and so retain it is glider. Okay, but we can't do multi filtering here on those categories, but here we can do, okay, I want to do glider and or it contains other. So now I can combine those two and I can sort them so we can see, and that immediately shows us an issue with aircraft data that we don't see too apparent here, but it shows up here, is that we have a number of different aircraft that we would classify as jets or as whatever, as gliders that are classified as other, that would like to be here, but we can't pull them all out as a group because they're miscategorized as others. This is because the third-party aircraft manufacturers have put in different data, so this is just pulling in the data that the plane has. But we can fix that later with tags by tagging all the gliders as gliders, but we'll get into that in a sec. So that shows one advantage of filtering. That's on text filtering, and to reset them we just hit the reset button there. Number sorting is slightly different. The filtering icon will be on the side of the column that you're selecting. So this one is speed. So say we want to look at all aircraft that are greater than 400 knots. Sorry, I had equal. We want greater than 400 knots. And that will now filter out everything that's above 400 knots. So we want to look at everything between, we can do a range, we can do in range from 400 to, let's say 450. We want to compare aircraft that are in that range, and that'll pull up the subgroup. And then we have all these other options there that you can do. You can play with them to your heart's content. And if we want to reset, we just reset that. So filtering, we have the ability to do it on text, just to summarize, and on numbers, and it can do single or multi-combined. And that works for altitude, time, range, all the number categories as well. Something you can see here is we've also added in, depending on the setting, the current setting of the sim is, we have this set to US system. People can also set this to metric or hybrid. We've also added in auto conversion. So depending on, this will change up here depending on what your sim setting is, but the opposite metric or imperial will show up here, which I've found is handy because sometimes I think in both systems, and it's kind of good education to understand what the other systems are depending where you are in the world, but it can't hurt knowing what the equivalent is. So moving on to the final two features here is tagging and notes. Let's look at tagging first. I've put in a couple of sample tags here. Tagging as well, we can sort. Okay, so these are all the ones I've tagged currently. Documenting that you've got 30 characters to save limit for the tag field, which if you click on it, it shows up here. If you want to add in another one, so say for example, let's do big wheels. Let's call this stall, and you don't, maybe I want a bush and just do bush flying, and maybe VFR, for example. Now to save this, the enter key doesn't work. There's a couple of funnies with the UI system. So to save it, you just click out of the column and it will save it. And you want to look at them, just click back on it and add another one. delete it or whatever, and then click back out, and it's auto-saved. Look at another style. Let's look at the Beast Horus. We'll call that Microjet, and we have another click outside the column. It'll save. We have some. What was that? And then if we want to, you can sort by those, or now we can use the filtering. So if we look at all the ones that contain stole, we currently only have this one, but we can add those in. If I want to look at my favorites, I'm currently using fave. You can use whatever you want. It'll pull up my favorites. And again, you can also do a favorite and stole. Do I have any that do favorite and stole? No. Favorite or stole. Okay, so I've got it'll pull them up that. So I might have, if I put that as favorite there, and then click out, and then do a search on favorite and stole, it'll, because we have both stole and fave in there. So let's just reset that. So again, you've got 30 characters. That's more than enough for half a dozen tags, which should be enough to filter how you want. And then the last final one is the notes column. Now we have 1,000 characters here. If no notes exist, what it does, it will load up what the aircraft description is, which is provided by Microsoft Acerbo or the aircraft developer. It's a third-party app. If you just click on that, it'll pull up the edit box, and you can scroll through and read it. And that's basically the text that you get in the hangar that you see as well. But it's handy to read it here, because you can quickly learn about, say I want to look at all the 339s. It's pulling up the same description, obviously, but you can learn about all the aircraft quite quickly. Just scroll through them a little bit faster than the cycle of loading in the hangar, back and forth. And you can see some of these aircraft manufacturers. I can just same again, my notes on the Bush G1000. G1000, you might make some notes, take off, blah blah blah. Just click outside and it will save them. And then we go back out. Let's go somewhere else, and then we come back in. And we can see we've saved them still. So, and again, there's no sorting functionality in this, because it's not really, I left it off the notes, but you've got filtering functionality, so you can search within those. Are there any fighter descriptions, for example? But you get the idea. And it'll pull up all the aircraft that have fighter mentioned in that. I use different tags: World War II, World War I, FAV, Stole, Bush, whatever floats your boat for how you want to organise your collection. So that's basically it. That's the main functionality. We have retained the existing functionality of search and filtering, and aircraft selection, but we've added the ability to sort, filter on any combination, multi-column, tags, and aircraft notes. So some added functionality there. A couple of known issues. The font size on 3K monitors might be, on anything above 2K might be a little small, so there'll be a free demo you can use to check that, and I highly recommend using the free demo first. It's feature limited, but should be enough to check the sorting and the size of the font to determine on your monitor. I'm currently running on 2K here. Support and feedback, I'll include this in the video description, but it will be at this URL here. This is the aircraft page, launching soon. It has a brief overview. We have the feature description, which I went through with the difference between the free and the pro version. The video, that's what we're making at the moment. Always recommend try the demo first to make sure it doesn't break your sim, or just see whether it fits you, and then you can, if you wish to upgrade. Some installation instructions, release notes, obviously no sound click as well when selecting a plane in the aircraft manager, because we're inserting the grid into the Microsoft Flight Simulator UI system. Refund policy is kind of standard, which is why I recommend you use the demo first. It will resolve most issues there. And support page, which is critical. Support will be done via email here through this form. And if you have issues, then it's with the more information you can provide on what you were doing is and what happened is really helpful to replicate and debug it. So that's basically it. Thanks for listening, and I hope you find it useful. Let me know how you go. Hasta la pasta.